Hazır mısınız? Başlayalım mı? Sorusu olan var mı? Pekala. Şimdi arkadaşlar sabah söyledim. Sefer yeni gelmiş. E, hani tekrar söylüyorum. Dersleri takip edin. Derslere katılın. Bu sadece devam zorunluluğu meselesi için değil. E, çünkü özellikle bu ders için hepsinde üç aşağı beş yukarı böyledir ama özellikle bu ders için şunu söyleyebilirim. E, şimdi sistem geliştirmede bir sürü aşama var. E, ve genellikle bu ders oldukça teorik bir düzlemde anlatılır. Ee, ama hayatın içinde değişebilir. Yani burada bahsedilen yöntemler vesaireler filan değişiklikler gösterebilir. Ben size hayatın içinden doğru anlatacağım. Bunu yapabilmek ancak hayatın içinde bunu yaşamış olmakla mümkündür. Yani e, kimi derslerde mutlaka siz de gözlemliyorsunuzdur. E, çok kitabi anlatır insanlar filan kitap öyle. Ama hayatta gerçekten öyle midir değil midir tartışılır ya da ne kadar öyledir tartışılır. Ee, ben uzun yıllarımı proje geliştirmeyle geçirdim. Ee, yani konuya akademik olarak hakim olmak yetmez. Bunu hayatın içinde deneyimlemiş olmak önemli. Ee, okulda bu anlamda hani şanslısınız birçok hocanız anlattıkları konuyu kendileri de meslek olarak sadece meslek hocalık değil yani meslek olarak da yapmış olan insanlar. Özellikle Denizcilik Fakültesi'ndeki hocalar mesela öyledir. Hepsi denizde dünya kadar zaman geçirmiştir filan filan. Ee, bu her yerde mümkün olmayabilir. O yüzden bu bir şans. Yani öğrenme açısından bir şans. Ben de bu alanda e, yani hem takım üst düzey yöneticilikler veya alt düzey takım görevler e, artı sadece kendi şirketimle yıllarca çalıştım. Yani 16 yıl sadece kendi şirketimle çalıştım. Onlarca proje ürettim. Dolayısıyla gerçek anlamda neler uygulanıyor, neler uygulanmıyor size oradan doğru anlatacağım. Tabii değil mi? Bu yüzden de e, some of the topics I may skip over, okay? Just from it because uh, they may not be applicable. Well, actually, system analyzing design, or in the correct saying, system development, the principles more or less are similar for almost all sectors, all fields. Either it is building some machinery or some part or something, or developing a software, right? The principles, most of the principles are the same. But it also has some differences in the system. Of course, here we are taking the software development or software type of systems. Therefore, some of them are much more important than the others for software engineering, software development, which may not be at that valuable or important in some other sectors. Okay, so this is one of the other reasons that you have to, or you better be in the classroom, attend the lectures and take notes, or at least underline the topics that I highlighted or recommended you. Okay, but I still will provide you some textbooks. Let me show you here. I share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen now? Can you see the screen, guys?
Not yet, sir. Now we can see.
All right. So where is it? This is one of the books. Well, actually, there are two different books I'm going to share with you. One, yeah, this one. There are, of course, other books, other texts available, but I've chosen these two. They cover all the concepts and stages and everything. This one and the other one. One of them is, well, I don't know, I think this one describes and tells the things in detail in a better way. But the other one provides some examples, some case studies, all right? Mostly. So the other one bases on telling everything, some specific cases. Show you some examples. Whatever. It tells the things and then gives, for instance, here, it gives an example. No, not this one. Whatever. So both books, both textbooks are useful for you. As I said, one is better for understanding the topic, it describes in a better way. But in the other one, you can find many different cases, case studies, examples. So I'll share with you all these books. Also, if you need some other extra books. Okay, but more than that, as I said, the parts that I emphasize and tell you that these parts are important and this you can skip this one. Okay, you can know this, but mostly we do not apply it in real life projects and take it into account. So therefore, attending the lectures will help you understand which part is important, more important, and which part is not or applicable in software development. Okay. So guys, when we're talking about systems analyze and design, actually, it's something like this. It's a kind of life cycle, you can call it, made up of many different stages. As you see, everything starts with the initiation of the project, right? Initiation of the project. And here we decide about the project. Let's say that it may be initiated by the institution that you may be working in. Okay. For instance, if you're working in Piri University, people in the accounting department may tell that we are experiencing some trouble with keeping track of the people's working hours or something like that. So we need an automation tool or software to keep track of the personnel when they come to school, how long they stayed here. And let's assume that we adjust the salaries based on the working hours or something. So they may tell that they may need such an automated tool, software, to enter all the data, I mean, all the going hours, data, etc. So if you're in the IT department, software development team, although there is no software development in Piri School University, but assume that you're in the software development group. So such a project request arrives you and you start thinking about it. Is it feasible? Is it possible, etc. And then you write a system proposal, kind of. If it is accepted, then the project starts. Otherwise, it's just rejected, you know. So the initiation stage requires some extra work, just like data analytics remember that before starting analyzing the data, we did some pre-processing business, right? Pre-processing operation, normalization, outlier analysis, etc. It's some like this. You can assume some like this. Before the project starts, or when we say project, we're talking about developing a system, of course, here, a software system, basically. But it sure includes some hardware parts also. Uh, Before it starts, there's supposed to be an initiation stage, and that stage has some technical work also. I mean, it is not some subjective decision. The decision should be based on some objective criteria, some kind of analysis. Therefore, after this decision, as I said, that it may be initiated by the institute internally, or you may be working in some commercial company and trying to develop some system to sell the customers, right? So the initiation cause or the source may be different. But after this initiation work, if you decide, not you actually, the management decides about the project to start, then that stage begins, okay, analysis stage. And then after analyzing this system and deciding about what to do, we just move into the design stage. And here we design the system to be developed. And then we get into the development stage. Actually, in this course, we'll cover all these stages, all of them, but development. We're not going to talk about the development stage because development here, if the system in consideration is a software system, it includes basically coding, right? So I assume that you already know coding, how to code, how to write programs, how to use integrated tools, integrated environment, etc. So we're going to skip this stage and go to this level, this stage, testing stage, which means that the system developed here will be tested at this stage. And then after testing completed, we just move to deployment stage. That means installing the system to the user side, etc. And then after deployment, implementation begins. So cannot assume that or tell that the project is over, it's finished. It never finishes. It never finishes. After this stage, during the implementation, there will be inevitably some maybe bugs, errors, or missing points, extra requirements, etc., etc. So
Maintains.
maintenance, of course, from this point, the maintenance starts. Okay, and it is also a structured process, maintenance, and through the maintenance procedures, the customer or the user. When I say customer, you should assume that it is the user of the system, basically. Either it is the executive level or operator level. Those are the users of the system, all right? Uh, Even if you're in the same institute, like Piri University and accounting department and IT department, it doesn't matter. You can assume that they are your customers, all right? In other words, they are the users of the system. So user may tell you report you some bugs, some errors, or they may request some extra features, maybe 2 weeks later, 2 days later, or maybe 3 years later. They may need some extra feature in the system, which was not covered or developed in the beginning or the first version of the system. Okay, so when such a request arrives, again, this stage begins. You analyze the request, whether it is feasible, should we develop it or not, etc. Of course, if it is about an error or bug, you certainly have to overcome it and solve it, fix it, right? Then after this initiation, again, you get into the analysis stage, how to fix it or how to develop the new feature requested, and then design stage again, and development and testing. So this is a typical cycle, right? Typical cycle. Therefore, this is called the system development life cycle, or in some other books, they say the system analysis and design cycle, something like that. But actually, as you see, analysis and design are only two stages of system development. This is why I say that the naming is not truly correct, because it doesn't represent the whole functionality or the intention of this course. Because we are here talking about all the stages. We're going to talk about the test, how we do the testing, what are the strategies for deployment, etc., etc. What are the procedures for maintenance? We'll cover all these stages except this one. We're not getting to the development, which is the coding itself. All right? And also, as I said, this course will be going in parallel with your thesis study. But that doesn't mean that I mean the timing will match exactly. It will be shifted because since we're going to omit this one, we'll move to this stage. But during the thesis development, thesis study, you'll be working on the coding for a long time, right? But we just jump it over and go into testing, assuming that the system was developed and we can tell how to test it, etc. All right. So the timing is not exactly the same. So we'll try to stay in synchronization with the other course, but it is not possible, completely possible. All right. Or you may take from that perspective, while we're still talking about analyze and design, because of the coding or development stage requirements, you may be already started developing or writing the code, right? But while in this course, we're still talking about design, maybe design principles or design methods, or etc., etc. Okay. So although we cover the same topics or titles, the timing may not be exactly the same, and it shouldn't be actually, because you should give some extra time for development, which you do not take into account or consider, right? So, guys, this is a life cycle of system development, initiation, starts. This is my sketch and my naming. I just put this development, system development in these stages. But the other books, the other people may give some different names, or they just divide it into 3 phases or something like that. Okay, maybe you can check this with this book, for instance. Here, as you see, it says in the first chapter here, system planning, and then systems analysis, systems planning, analysis, and then design, and then what? System implementation, and support and security. It goes this way, for instance. So as you see, there are only 4, if you include the maintenance or support stage, 5 stages. Actually, it's a little bit different from my sketch or my phases, but it covers the same things. For instance, in systems implementation, you see from design, they also jumped into the implementation, assuming that system is already developed, and they didn't give or dedicate any separate chapter for development, right? Because it is about coding or buying the hardware or whatever, right? So if you include the development, there are 6 stages, but here it says that system implementation. However, in my sketch here, where is it? Yeah, here. Implementation is right there. They never talk about the test or deployment, but testing and deployment are separate stages which require separate, different, some certain procedures or operations, right? They have some predefined procedures telling about how to test or deployment strategies, this kind of stuff. But they didn't cover or at least mention it. But I believe in somewhere, some part of the book, of course, they're telling about the deployment and everything, but they divide into different stages. Or take this book, for instance. As you see, they only say that planning phase, analysis phase, design phase, and then implementation. Take mine, take mine as the template. Okay. And another thing I should mention, as you see, there are some intersections between the stages, right? Here, this part, some graded areas or shaded areas here. This is not a coincidence. When I draw this, these shadings or intersections is not a coincidence. Actually, we can never say that this stage or that stage is completed, gets completed, and then we get into or jump into the design stage or to development stage. It never occurs this way. It goes that way. For instance, um, assume that analysis is completed and then some system analysis document is developed. This document is handed to the design team or design people, and they start designing the system. Okay. But during the design, they may realize that there is something wrong. Okay. Which cannot be designed this way, or there is some problem. Then they go back to this stage and tell the people there is some problem we encountered or we noticed something missing, etc. So we just go back to the analysis stage and take these critics or the problem into account and work on it and reanalyze it and then uh, modify or update the document and go back to design stage again and go back and forth and back and forth. So it never, any stage never stops and the other starts immediately. Instead, there is always some going back and forth, these intersections. Exactly, it's the same here. We design the system, and here we describe how to develop it. But during development, developers, the programmers actually, may notice some problem, so we just go back to design stage, etc. It goes this way, right? Always back and forth. Even in this test stage, which is naturally the testing of the developed product, we may notice some problem which actually would not meet the user requirements, all right? The initial requirements. We may notice this during the test stage, and we just go back and back and again until we reach the analyze stage and remodel the things, reanalyze everything, and again design again. Even here, during the implementation, we may need to go back. But the point is that the earlier you realize the problem, the less work is required, right? Otherwise, if you, let's say, notice some feature requested by the user is missing in the system, then that means that you need to go to back to this stage, right? To analyze stage. And it is unbearably time consuming and never desired, never desired. Therefore, we need to apply the certain methods truly in detail we need to be perfectionist somehow, perfectionist, and make it sure that the design is all right. And how we can make it sure? Well, the difficulty is that we are the technical people, okay? So let me draw something here. We're the technical people, so assume that here are the people dealing with the problem itself. Let's say it's a stock system or warehousing or whatever. And they're experiencing some problems, right? So the real problem residing here, problem. So the users of the system at any level, it may be a manager or an operator, forklift operator, whatever, right? They have the problem and they ask for the solution, right? So here are the technical people. These people are not able to create or develop the system, the solution itself. Instead, they are separate people, which are us, programmers or analysts, everything. So computer guys, right? So here, what was it? Problem. This is the problem. Here is the solution, right? Which is the system to be developed. Solution. But here, the people are the technical people, AI, AI, IT people in general, we can call, right? But these are the technical people, right? So they develop the system and deliver it back to those people. But the problem is that this problem can be anything. Maybe it's a warehouse of some fresh food or something, okay? Fresh food. Or it may be in textile business or tire production. Anything, right? Any industry, any service. It can be sourced from any area, right? As technical people, it is not possible for us to know all these details. We mostly naturally uh, have never experienced such problems in a fresh food development or whatever, such a factory or whatever, right? Uh, let's say warehouse or whatever. So we do not know the problem, the details and everything, but these people do, right? On the other hand, they do not know the solution, but we do. So there is a gap between them. So the system analysis is the process to close this gap, right? During the analysis stage, we try to close this gap. That means that those people, the user side, should tell us the story, right? The problem, how it works, what is the business, what is the workflow, etc., etc. All the details and everything. And here on this side, you need to tell them the solution somehow, right? This is the solution. We're going to solve this way. But always there will be some missing points. We're going to get into the details why all these missing points are, what are the causes of these missing points most of the time. All right. We're going to talk about them later on. But there will be some missing points, some misunderstandings, etc. So the delivered the product at the end may lack of some of the requests. Therefore, user just informs us to correct this and that. As I said, if you realize some missing point at, let's say, where is it? That level here, deployment or test or this stage, it's pain in the ass, right? You need to go all the way back to this position and start it over. Therefore, you need to do your analysis truly, correctly, as it is supposed to be. and apply the methods by the book. Okay. Also the design. Whatever that design requires, do the methods, I mean, apply the methods truly. Now, as you see, from this stage to this stage and then this stage, it goes this way. It's a kind of waterfall, right? It goes, I mean, the water falls from here to there and there, and it goes this way. So this method is called waterfall method. Waterfall, şelale, okay? Uh, but Agile method suggests something different. I mean, in waterfall, at least theoretically, all the analyze and design and everything is completed, then we just present it to the users. But instead, in Agile method, at every stage, we always check with the users whether it is correct, are we in the good track, any missing points. So in Agile method, you can realize the problems earlier, right? Earlier. But that doesn't mean that you omit some requirements, some necessary operations or jobs which analysis stage or design stage or the others require. If, let's say, drawing some use case diagrams or making some use case analysis is required here during the analysis stage, you have to do it. Either it is the waterfall method you're applying or the agile method. It doesn't make any difference. You do the same things always. So what is the difference? We're going to talk about the differences later on, okay? Now, I just want you to understand that this is a life cycle, never-ending life cycle. It always, forever, I mean, it lasts forever. Hani derler ya, bir şirkette bir şey sattığınız zaman aslında onunla evlenirsiniz hani. Bir projeden bahsediyorsak bu böyledir. Tabii siz bir printer sattıysanız aslında onda bile hani destek alırsınız. Şöyle bir arıza çıktı bilmem ne diye. Ama bir proje yapıyorsanız gerçekten hani bu bir evliliktir. Bitmez. Boşansanız da bitmez yani. O olur, bu olur, bilmem çocuğun bilmem nesi olur değil mi? Onun gibi. E, Dolayısıyla bir proje bu projeyi geliştirenle bu projeyi kullanan arasında bir hani bir tür evlilik bağı ya da neyse kopmayacak bir bağın kurulması demektir. Of course we are talking about some large projects, not a small one. I mean, write me a program which can compute the combination of whatever. This is not something we're talking about. We are talking about systems consisting of many different parts, like a car or ship or something, right? Exactly same. So it's a large one. There will be many details, many smaller parts, many modules, etc., etc. So this requires a lot of elaborate planning, analysis, and planning and designing and effort, right? And you need to be perfectionist, and you need to work carefully and apply the methods carefully, right? For now, I want you to realize what we're talking about. We're talking about such as life cycle. And during this course, we'll get into all these details one by one. And again, we're going to talk about the methods or operations we apply during the analysis stage or deploying or whatever, one by one, but some of them are not applicable, which I'll tell you. Okay, we do not do this or that, just skip this or that, etc. Right? But in the books, they give, where is it? They give all the details of the methods and everything. All right, guys. Any questions up to now? Any questions?
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Like the last page that you opened in the painter. I think it's like a division of tasks like between users and developers. Users identify the problem and while developers responsible for solving. And it's like a long circle. It's not ending
Yeah, it's
until
not
the
ending.
project is ending.
Well, the project never ends. That's what I'm trying to say. Project never ends. Project is delivered and put into the implementation. But during the implementation, as I said, e, ünlü Türk büyüğü Orhan Gencebay'ın dediği gibi, ha? Büyüklerimizden Orhan Gencebay'ın software engineering için söylediği çok değerli bir laf vardır. Hepiniz bilirsiniz. Bilen var mı? Ha? Software engineering için Orhan Gencebay ne demiş?
Hatasız kod olmaz mıydı hocam?
Aynen öyle demiş. Hatasız kod olmaz demiş. Yani illa bir şey çıkacak. İlla geri gelecek bu. Yani bu dediğim gibi belki 3 sene sonra gelecek. Nasıl gelecek? Ya başta düşünmediğimiz bir şey var, bir özellik. Onu da ekleyin diyecekler. Teknoloji gelişecek, yeni teknolojiler çıkacak. Efendim fabrikaya girişlerde kart basıyorduk da yüz tanıma teknolojisi gelişti 3 sene sonra artık ucuzladı o cihazlar. Efendim yüz tanıma koyalım buraya diyecekler. Siz bu projenin için onu monte edeceksiniz. Tamam mı arkadaşlar? Dolayısıyla bu ilişki hiçbir zaman bitmeyecek. Ne yazık ki. Açık söylüyorum. Ne yazık ki. Yani bir fiil içinde yaşamış bir ne yazık ki diyorum. Çünkü hani bir noktadan sonra inanılmaz zamanınızı almaya başlayacak. Onların desteği, yeni talepleri bilmem. Hele ki dediğim gibi buralarda hata yapmışsanız of geri dönüşü bunun çok sancılı yani. Çok sancılı. Yeni bir özelliğin eklenmesi. Dolayısıyla sistemlerin bu anlamda belirli özelliklerin olması lazım işte. Yeni durumlara adapte edilebilirlik falan falan. Evet. I just try to give you a generic picture of the system development, the basic stages, and what they are about, all these stages are about. If you want to name it here, for instance, for this stage, let me take a picture of it here. Where is it? Yeah. Here, guys, during this stage, this one, initiation, we are trying to answer this question. Should we do it? Do it, develop it or not? We need to decide about it. As I said, that it's not a subjective decision. It should be based on some specific criteria. Basically, the feasibility study, right? After this feasibility, we decide about developing this system. But the main question is that should we decide it? Should we develop it? This is the question. But here, after we make this decision, okay, we're going to develop this system. Now, during this stage, analysis stage, we try to answer this question: what we're going to do, what to do. Okay. So the main question here is what we are trying to do. What is the requirement? What is the required system? What will be the output or outcome of this system, right? Of course,
Identify the problem.
identify problem and I'll do details. Of course, there are some methods for answering this question. But then, after answering this question, after understanding what to do, we now get into the design stage and try to answer now this question: how to do. Okay? Now we know what to do, what is the requirement and everything, what is the system all about. And now we design the solution. Okay? So here, design stage is to answer this question, how to do. After this, after describing how to do, based on this how to do, design project and design document, people start working on coding, developing the system. Not only coding, but basically the coding, because we're putting the software systems in center here during this course. Okay, but it's not totally different from the other sectors. It's always the same. They always somehow initiate the project and decide about whether they're gonna develop it or not. It may be any product. After that, they should analyze it and decide about what to do, the properties and everything of the system, and then design it, and then develop it. It can be anything. It can be a furniture. It can be any tool, metal tool or whatever, right? Principally the same. The same stages do exist. After developing that, let's say, a new type of hammer, we need to test it, right? We need to test it. And then deploy it, deliver it to the users, and start using. And get the complaints and everything and start it over. Try to fix it, blah, blah, blah. All right. So these are the main questions. If you want to give extra questions or name extra questions for these stages, you can also produce some questions for instance, test stage. Are there any mistakes? What are the missing points? Are the defined requirements of the system met? Have the requirements met or not? You just test it. Such as system requires recording or registering
User expectation.
registering new users, let's assume. This is some property that the developed system to be developed system needs to include, right? User registration, new user registration. So this is a feature. Here, during this stage, we test whether the system can register a new user or delete some existing user, etc. Whatever it is. Okay, we just check it whether the requirements are met. And here, how should we deploy it? This stage is something else. Implementing the system is not our job. User does it, but our job is collecting the experiences, the problems, the problematic points, and structuring them in a form that our people can understand these complaints and problems and everything. Okay. So this is the whole thing as a generic picture. I wanted you to see all the picture as a complete picture, system development picture. But as I said, we'll get into every stage one by one and talk about it in detail. Right, guys? Evet, buraya kadar durumumuz nedir? Bir saati de böyle geçirdik. Saat oldu 4. Again, another thing to emphasize, you need to realize that the people taking part in this process, development process, are different people having different backgrounds. Do not think that system development or understand such a system development as the projects or homeworks you have been dealing with during your education, right? You start by yourself You decide about the topic and decide about developing such a project, etc., by yourself, or maybe 2, 3 people, friends together as a group, right? And then you analyze it and design it in a kind of collaboration, etc., taking responsibilities. But you do all this job all together as a group, right? Or maybe a single individual. But it never occurs in a real life system, in a large real system. There will be many different people, and some of them, I mean, all of them from different areas, maybe, or having different backgrounds. Let's say during the development stage, if we're talking about a software project, the people in this stage taking the scene should be programmers, right? And also here, testers should be programmers, some of them, but some of them may be the users of such a system. Let's say that it's an accounting system. Therefore, to test such a system, there should be some accountant or some person who understands what an accountant needs or how it works or what is accounting, etc. Right? If you come to that point on analysis stage, well, it is another thing because these people are to be very qualified people. Why? Because they should know how to write programs, develop, how to design such programs, even uh, having some information about different fields, experienced people. Like, for instance, they used to work in some factory in the past, or maybe they have been they have developed some projects in, let's say, textile business, etc. So uh, those people should be experienced people, somehow experienced people, both in the industry side or the user side, and also on the development side. Because, as I said, those people basically are the people who should build this gap, right? This gap to create this bridge. Here is this bridge. This bridge between these two sides should be established during basically the analysis stage. Therefore, the system analysts are required to be experienced people. Well, when you get graduated and get your first job, you probably working on the testing stage, maybe testing stage. All right, not even in development stage. Of course, depending on the constitute or institute, constitutional institute that you're taking in part. But if it's a large development team, software development team or company or something, you start with testing the products, maybe. But if you do not have a programming background, then you cannot test it truly, or you cannot report it truly to the developers, right? The programmers, or you'll be here, maybe here, as a senior junior programmer. It depends. Of course, it depends on the company that you're going to be in. But I can tell you that uh, it's not logical to enroll you or uh, take you to the business, to the company as an analyst right at the beginning. It's not possible. It's not logical, as you cannot do it. You don't have the experience, right? You know the things. You know how to write programs. You learned. You've taken the systems analysis course. You learn the methods of analysis. What do we do? What is use case analysis, etc., etc. But you just understood it just because, as I told, all the things that I'm providing here are declarative knowledge, right? But the real knowledge is supposed to be imperative. which is gained after experiencing all these processes one by one during time. It takes time. It takes time. Okay, guys. And also, understanding this intrinsic feature, what is it? Namely, there will be many different people from many different backgrounds or many different levels. This feature also implies another thing. What is that? Well, documentation is everything. You need to document the things because the output of the analysis stage will be that document. And that document is the document that the people, design people, will rely on, right? They're going to do their design based on the document you provided. And also these people, they're going to develop the programs, write the programs based on your design. Therefore, your design document should be perfect, describing everything in an understandable manner, not in the way that you can understand as the writer of this document, but instead those people should understand it, right? So you need to follow the universal rules for them. You need to follow the universal rules. Documentation is everything in this process, and the system development requires a good documentation habits, not abilities only, but habits, which is also a missing part in most of the developed systems, unfortunately. Okay. Peki arkadaşlar, şimdi genel bir fikir aldığınızı düşünüyorum. Neden bahsediyoruz, bütün bu aşamalar nedir, ne değildir. Dolayısıyla dediğim gibi tek tek bunların içine gireceğiz ve üzerinde konuşacağız. Tamam. Sorusu olan var mı? Hadi ya, hiçbir soru yok mu? Vay, ben herkese